Author's POV. It was a fine evening when a man in his late 20s was working very keenly in his office. He was working continuously when someone barged into his office. "Taehyung," said the person as he came inside and sat in front of Taehyung weeping continuously. Taehyung, founder and CEO of TNY Corporation, who rose from scratch, looked upwards and saw his best friend and marketing director of TNY Corporation and said, "What happened, Jungkook?" He asked, being concerned after seeing his only best friend in a disheveled posture. Jungkook cried a lot, saying nothing. Taehyung was getting worried to see him like that. He stood up from his seat and went towards Jungkook and rubbed his back, trying to soothe him a bit. Jungkook hugged his waist and cried for about half an hour. Taehyung tried to calm him down and waited for him to start the conversation. After a while, Jungkook stopped crying and calmed down as well. He broke the hug as Taehyung offered him the handkerchief. Jungkook accepted it and blew his nose at it. Taehyung looked at his shirt, which is now stained with tears. He shook his head and let it go and saw beside Jungkook. He placed his hands on his shoulder as Jungkook turned towards him and Taehyung saw Jungkook's swollen eyes. He carefully examined Jungkook and after seeing that he is better, he asked Jungkook, "If you don't mind, tell me what happened?" Jungkook looked towards him and his eyes moistened again. He buried his face in his hands and shook his head and said, "All I have is gone." "Taehyung, what am I supposed to do now? I don't know what will happen to me now." Taehyung was very confused and asked, "What do you mean, Jungkook?" Jungkook looked towards him with tears in his eyes and said, "Mia cheated on me." This sentence was enough to shake Taehyung. He stood up and asked with shock to confirm. "Wait, what?" He was bewildered as Jungkook nodded and said, "Yes, it is." Taehyung sat back on his chair and put his palm on his mouth and mumbled enough for Jungkook to listen. "How is it even possible?" he exclaimed as Jungkook again burst into tears. Taehyung tried to calm him down a bit and asked what happened actually. "Tell me everything," he demanded as Jungkook started to tell him. "Hyung, I don't know when this all started, but a few weeks ago, I found Mia taking calls at night, busy all day outside with friends, going to parties, and coming back late at night. I didn't doubt her at all, thinking that I should give her some privacy. I ignored it for 1 week, but the whole thing didn't stop, so I decided to track her whereabouts. Yesterday, luckily I got her phone opened and I was scrolling through it when I saw a message popped up saying that yesterday night was best. I still thought it must be something else and further looked into it and read all the messages. It left me with guilt and disgust. After some time, I saw Mia going outside. I tailed her and saw her hugging a man. Afterward, she kissed him too. I went to confront her and she said nothing, just looked down. She said sorry. Tell me, Hyung, if her sorry can fix my broken heart.
Taehyung's POV. He said as he continuously wiped, "I felt sorry for Jungkook." Mia and Jungkook were childhood sweethearts. They went to school together, college, and then college. They both, after dating for so long, got married 2 years ago and were living their dream life. But why this happened? I can't even think about it, that Mia would do this to Jungkook. I looked toward Jungkook and found him in a miserable state. I again tried to calm down Jungkook and after some time he felt relieved a bit. Jungkook stood up and said, "Thank you, Hyung, for listening to me. I think I should leave and do my work." He bowed as I shook his head and said, "No. Go get some rest, take a half day." Jungkook nodded and again bowed and left. I sighed and went toward my chair and sat on it. I huffed as rubbed my head with my fingers and thumb. I tried to do some work, but something stuck in my mind. Nowadays, I find YN being very distant from me. I am a very light sleeper, so I know when YN woke up, and even if she shuffles a bit, it makes me awake. And for the past week, I am seeing her wake up late at night and talk with someone on the call. I am trying to be positive, but my mind is going there. I know my YN will never do this sort of thing. Let's do work for now.
Author's POV. Taehyung emerged at work. The thoughts were bothering me so much and H can't do anything but wonder why is that. YN and Taehyung are in their mid-20s, they were employees in the same office. They met, became friends, and fell for each other. After dating for about a year, they decided to get married, and after that, Taehyung came up with the idea of opening their own business. YN supported him wholeheartedly. It has been 5 years since then and now TNY Corporation is one of the most successful businesses in South Korea. Time skip. After completing his all-office work, Taehyung got exhausted and decided to go home. He was going to his home when on the red light signal, someone knocked on his window. He lowered his window and saw a kid selling a rose bouquet. Please buy these roses and give them to your beloved. She will love it and it will make you guys come closer. The boy said as Taehyung smiled and asked how much of it? The boy beamed in happiness and said $15. Taehyung took his wallet and gave the money to the boy and bought those roses. The boy ran from there and after a while the traffic signals shows a green light and Taehyung drove his car toward his house. After a while, Taehyung reached his house and went inside. He went inside and heard some giggling sound from the kitchen. In an instant he recognized the voice that it is Yn's. He went towards her and saw her on a phone call. She was taking through her AirPods and is making dinner. He went closer to her as Yn's attention diverted towards him. She instantly said, "I will call you later, Ash." She took her AirPods looking slightly nervous. Oh, Tae. You are home early today," she said as she wiped her hands on the kitchen towel and went towards him and took his bag. He grabbed her waist as jerk her towards him and nuzzle in her neck as a shiver ran down her spine. He hummed after inhaling her cherry-like perfume and said, "Yeah, I completed my work early today. Here I bought these roses for you." He extended his hand towards her as she beamed in happiness and took those flowers from his and said, "Thank you, honey." He smiled after seeing her so happy and tried to kiss her. Her attention went toward his actions, but what surprised Taehyung was when she avoided his kiss and tried to break free from his hug. He felt terrible, but being considerate that maybe she is not feeling good, he let her go. She went towards the kitchen and start doing her work and said without turning, "Oh, Tae. Go and freshen up. Come downstairs then we can have our dinner together." She turned towards him slightly and smiled a bit. He nodded and went towards his room. Yn sighed in relief as leaned on the kitchen flap. Yn's POV. It's been hard for me day by day. It's already the start of December but I have so much to prepare. I don't know if you will like my present or not. But let's hope for the best. Although I am keeping my distance from Taehyung but it is important for now. I was in my thoughts when I smelled something burnt and looked towards my bread and it was almost going to burn but I off the gas and I saved it. Gosh. I don't know what else is going to happen in my life now. Author's POV. After a while, Taehyung came downstairs and they both ate in peace and were exchanging their day-to-day routine. A faded harmony was there between them but they didn't know that it was cracking because of their lack of conversation. Time skip. After eating their dinner, Yn went to take a shower as night's dishes is Taehyung's duty. He was washing the dishes when events from today came running into his mind. He remembered Jungkook's heartbroken state, how he connects Jungkook's words to his life, how Yn was nervous after seeing him at home all of a sudden, and how she avoided his touch. It was inevitable for him to not remember them, they were quite disturbing to him. H shook his head and said, "No, it's not like that. I know and believe my Yn." He finished washing dishes as he went towards his room. He came inside and saw Yn chatting with someone, she was smiling ear to ear. He sat beside her as she startled and instantly offed her phone. She looked towards him and smiled. He reciprocated his actions as she said, "I will be back after taking a shower." He nodded as she went towards the bathroom after settling her phone on the night table. Taehyung sighed as he doesn't want to think anything and sat on the side scrolling his phone. After exactly 2 minutes, he heard a message notification sound, 1, 2, 3, and now continuously. He looked towards Yn's phone and realized that it was from hers. He contemplated whether he should see or not but curiosity took the best of him and he looked in her phone. He saw her home screen and saw someone named Ash messaging her and calling by intimate names like baby girl, wifey, honey, and darling and it is used in every sentence. Although he only saw it through notification with half messages but seeing something like this made his suspicion higher. He again ignored it as he lay down. He closed his eyes as he was very tired. After a while, he felt some movements and smelled Yn's perfume. He opened his eyes as he saw her looking towards him. She smiled at him sleeping beside him and pecked his cheeks and said good night love. He smiled and kissed his hands and said good night. They both hugged each other as they both went to sleep. At midnight around 1 a.m., Taehyung felt some movement and saw Yn standing up. He looked as she went towards the balcony. Taehyung stood up as quietly as he can and went towards her. He hid behind the curtains and saw her talking to someone very happily on the call. This breaks his heart, don't know why. Haha, love, don't take tension. I will tell Taehyung very soon about everything. You don't have to take any tension, she said as chirped in happiness. A lobe tear fell from Taehyung's eyes as he went inside and lay down on the bed. He pretends to sleep, but his peaceful sleep is nowhere to be seen. He cried silently for God knows when. He heard her coming inside and laying beside him. He became silent for a moment. He didn't even realize that he is holding his breath. He sighed lowly as he kept thinking about possible outcomes. The night fell off. He was unable to sleep even a wink. He woke rather early than YN on purpose, not having any energy to face her. He knows that if he saw her face even for a second, he will break down. He went to his office and called someone. On the phone call. Hello, said the person from the other side as Taehyung left a shaky sigh and said, Hello Hyung, are you free for a second? He asked the person on the other side as the person whispered yelled at Taehyung and said yeah. What do you think, HUH? It is 5 in the morning and you are asking me to be free? I am not free, I am taking my beauty nap. Taehyung sighed and rubbed his forehead and said Jin Hyung, please visit my office for once today. This is a request please. He said with a depressed voice as Jin became attentive because the Taehyung he knows is not like this. In concern, he asked are you okay? Taehyung sighed and said yeah. Just visit my office today for once. He again reciprocated his same words as Jin sighed and said okay I will. Taehyung said a small thank you and cut off the call. He leaned on his chair as he looked upwards aimlessly, a tear rolled down from his eyes and he started crying while saying am I not enough for you YN? You made me the man I am now, then why are you doing this now? I love you YN. I will do anything that will make you happy even if it is a divorce. I can even give my last breath to you. I can live for you and can #, for you too. Depression was reflected in his words. He cried for an hour and tried to distract him while doing some work. After a while, Jin came to his office and asked Taehyung, what happened? Why did you call me so early in the morning? Jin was concerned for Taehyung as Taehyung sighed and said I want you to file divorce papers, Hyung. Time skip. After an hour of discussion with Jin, Taehyung was exhausted. He wanted some air and a coffee. He went outside and drove to a coffee shop, but what he saw was unexplainable. He saw YN with a boy, they both were smiling ear to ear, hands on hands. It made him feel miserable. He took a deep breath and tried to calm his racing heart down, and went from there. If you like my video then please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you and happy watching. To be continue.